The deployment of three 100,000 tons U.S. Navy aircraft carriers to the Pacific Ocean for the first time in years has drawn swift reaction from China, with state-sponsored media saying Beijing will not back down to defend its interests in the region. The USS Ronald Reagan and the USS Theodore Roosevelt are both patrolling in the Western Pacific, while the USS Nimitz is in the east, according to U.S. Navy press releases. With each vessel containing more than 60 aircraft, it represents the biggest deployment of U.S. aircraft carriers in the Pacific since 2017, when tensions with North Korea over Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program were at their peak. The presence of the carriers was first highlighted in an Associated Press report on Friday. Carriers and carrier strike groups writ large are phenomenal symbols of American naval power. I really am pretty fired up that we've got three of them at the moment, Rear Admiral Stephen Kohler, Director of Operations at Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii, told AP. On Sunday, the Communist Party's Global Times mouthpiece said the carriers could threaten troops in the disputed South China Sea. By massing these aircraft carriers, the US is attempting to demonstrate to the whole region and even the world that it remains the most powerful naval force, as they could enter the South China Sea and threaten Chinese troops on the Xisha and Nanchuo Islands, Paracel and Spratly Islands, as well as vessels passing through nearby waters, so the US could carry out its hegemonic politics, the Global Times report quoted Li Ji, a Beijing-based naval expert, as saying. The report, posted on the People's Liberation Army's official English website, also highlighted the armaments available to China's military, adding that Beijing could hold drills in response to show off its firepower. China possesses aircraft carrier killer weapons like the DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles, the story said. The deployments mean 3 of the U.S. Navy's 7 active aircraft carriers are in the Pacific. The other 4 are in port for maintenance. Konkop, research fellow at the Institute of Defense and Strategic Studies in Singapore, said China reacted strongly because the presence of the carriers conflicted with Beijing's portrayal of the U.S. Navy as a force crippled by the coronavirus pandemic. It goes against the narrative that China wanted to put forth that the US was under stress in the Pacific, Koss said. Indeed, the Roosevelt returned to sea on June 4 after spending weeks in port in Guam following a coronavirus outbreak on board in March, when more than 1,000 of the ship's nearly 4,900-member crew tested positive. We have returned Theodore Roosevelt to sea as a symbol of hope and inspiration, and an instrument of national power because we are the Roosevelt's commander, Captain Carlos Sardiello, said in a statement. The Reagan returned to sea in late May after crew members were placed under restricted movements at its home port in Japan to ensure it deployed without any COVID-19 cases. It has also been loaded with more than 1,000 tons of ordnance, enough combat power to cause the ship to sit 5 inches lower on the waterline, a U.S. Navy statement said. The move comes after the U.S. Pacific Fleet said last month that all its forward-deployed submarines were at sea conducting operations in the Western Pacific. No numbers were given, but experts said it likely involved more than 8 of the hard-to-track, fast attack vessels. Carl Schuster, a former director of operations at the U.S. Pacific Command's Joint Intelligence Center, said it wasn't a coincidence. The Chinese Navy doesn't know where those submarines are and that complicates any response calculations and planning, he said, especially when Beijing now also has to account for 3 aircraft carriers and their accompanying destroyers and cruisers.